But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
Okay, here's Hassan Piker and some of the things he said.
If you cared about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
I'm pro stealing from big corporations because, you know, they steal quite a bit more from their own workers. Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder. Virtually every American has a similar experience, a shared experience where they have a loved one that spent their last days instead of spending them with their family, spending it on the phone, talking to their healthcare provider.
I mean, this is just some of the stuff that he said. He says the Hezbollah flag is dope. He likes Hamas better than Republicans. Landlords are MFers. And you go and sit down with him and you put your reputation on the line and you want everybody else to take a step back?
Well, Brian, because I have said that Hamas is a terrorist organization, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. I was one of the first people who condemned the shooting of the United Healthcare executive. But millions of people follow Hassan Piker. Why? Because he's speaking about some of the frustrations. He's speaking about the fact that people don't have healthcare in America. Well, there are a lot of people on the podcast world, et cetera, who say things that are outrageous or sensationalist, and I push back when you do that. But we have to understand the anger in this country of people who feel they can't buy a house, they can't afford gas, they can't have health care, they're upset at the system. It's one of the reasons Trump won twice, and we have to engage while condemning the violence. But if you look at, I never engage in approving of violence, approving of the incitement of violence, and I'll condemn it when I hear it.
Congressman, I just can't believe you choose to go on. I mean, Cory Booker and others have not.
We've got some breaking news on the fight between the Trump administration and Jimmy Kimmel. The FCC is preparing to challenge the licenses of ABC affiliate stations. And a source tells CNN the process will begin as early as this afternoon. The licenses in question are not up for renewal for years, but the FCC says it can review them earlier. So far, ABC has stuck by Jimmy Kimmel after President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump demanded he be fired over a joke he told last week about Melania having, quote, a glow like an expectant widow. Here's how Kimmel defended himself last night.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I thought this was going to be a nice, slow day. I thought we would just talk about the king and the queen, but all hell has broken loose in the last, I'd say, 40 minutes or so. Biggest news, which I shall bring to you.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
Has indicted former FBI Director James Comey for a second time. Justice correspondent David Spunt's got the story. He's here in Washington. Hey, David, they're going to go at it again.
John, they're going at it again, not even a year after they went at it after the first time. We're told this via several law enforcement sources. We're told this is related to an Instagram post from the former FBI director last year when he posted on the beach. You may remember there was a formation of shells that said 8647 that were in that pairing of 8647, and he said something along the lines of, "Isn't this a curious formation that I just found while walking on the beach?" Well, critics to that post immediately pointed out that 86, at least in the restaurant world, means to get rid of or to kill something from a menu, 47 meaning the 47th president of the United States. So Comey did speak with the Secret Service, did speak with federal investigators. At the time he was interviewed last spring or early last summer, shortly after that happened. No charges were ever filed, but now it appears that he has been indicted today. We're working to learn more about the indictment. We're waiting to see if officials have anything to say on this. That is the post that you see right there, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk," from former Director James Comey. Now, you also remember that he was indicted.
So I want to let you know, even when you're watching big gazillion-dollar news companies, they often get it wrong. The DOJ cannot indict anybody. They can arrest people, but they can't indict people. So you have to say to yourself, how was he indicted? Well, if you go back in your memory, you realize there are two grand juries paneled down here in South Florida, one in Fort Pierce, one in Fort Lauderdale. And they've been working for quite some time. This just wasn't something sudden and out of the blue. They have obviously been talking to the grand jury, and they've been giving them information, and that a grand jury indicted James Comey. Wasn't Todd Blanche, wasn't President Trump, wasn't the DOJ. The grand jury brought charges against Comey. Now, I want to point out something interesting that maybe nobody's really following. Everything you're seeing today, James, Dr. Fauci, one of his compatriots, was also arrested/indicted for doing some stuff with COVID and hiding everything. And as well as you guys also know, I was going to go into this tonight or tomorrow, there's a whole bunch of raids taking place all over Minnesota, where they're going in and they went to the Quality Learing Center, and they went to a whole bunch of places where they're going after fraud. Now, the part where I really don't think a lot of people understand, because people are like, yeah, now that we got rid of Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche is kicking some butt. You have to realize Todd Blanche basically has the privilege of walking into a kitchen after the meal has already been made. There's no way that these investigations began a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. It didn't happen. They've been ongoing. Now I'm going to drop you something else that people probably don't realize either. Pam Bondi is still the Attorney General of the United States. She has gone underground, but as of right now, she is still the Attorney General of the United States. Nobody's talking about that. Here, let me prove it to you. Here is the profile. Attorney General Pam Bondi on the official Attorney General profile. Bunch of you right now going, oh, I didn't realize that. I never knew that. She ain't gone anywhere yet. She's still right there doing what she's got to do. Shocking, isn't it? It's completely shocking. I knew there would be some people who saw this with James Comey and some of the other stuff today surrounding Dr. Fauci and all these things, and they're thinking, now that we got a real Attorney General in place, things are actually happening. Until you realize she's still your Attorney General. Now, I was getting ready to do something, get ready before they started the soiree here, but it looks like they've already begun. Let's check in here. I got to turn on the volume, Barry. Yeah, turn on the volume. Okay, we got volume. We got volume. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to get the volume to come on, and it's just really doggone low. Hold on a second. As they're bringing people in, JD Vance is in. Not sure why there's no volume on this yet. Give me a second here. Give me a second. Okay, I figured it out. They're just not, it's just not live. I mean, in terms of like the volume, in terms of where it is, it's just not coming through yet because they're just walking through. So at this point, there's really not a whole lot of volume to be had. So as soon you're seeing they're just walking in and everything else, there's really no microphone on the walk-in. So as soon as they get ready to go, but they're, just to let you know, they are getting in place ready for King Charles. Now I understand there's a lot of people who don't like the king, you know, the other king. A lot of people don't like King Charles, but deal with it or not. Otherwise, your doom awaits you with Roaring Rage Beth and SV with the hammer. So be careful if you don't like what you're about to hear. But anyways, let's continue. So I don't know how long it's going to be. He says he's not supposed to come on until 3 o'clock. So I will continue with my presentation here. Let's go.
Thank you, President Trump. There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot.
Pause.
We've done a lot.
Pause.
All right, Laura, I know you've had.
So I want you guys to understand what President Trump, and he was analyzing how he's been a target. There's a reason, a big reason why he's a target. Of course, it's the media. Of course, it's the Democrats and all of that kind of stuff. But he's a target because they view him as the enemy. I'm going to show you through a couple things. They view, it's not China, not Iran, not North Korea, not Kim Jong-un, none of that. None of those people do the Democrats view as the enemy. They view Donald Trump as the enemy. They view him as the guy they've got to take out. They've completely dehumanized him. They don't look at him as a man. They don't look at him as a husband. They don't look at him as a father. They don't look at him as a grandfather. He is the enemy. He is Lex Luthor defined for them. He is Lex Luthor incarnate, the Penguin, all of them wrapped into one big orange character. Everything they've tried to do at this point is to try and cast him as the main villain. He is the enemy. While in actuality, they're disguising that they are the enemy. You see, they needed to convince all these nuts and orcs that this isn't a real person. He doesn't take his pants off one leg at a time. He doesn't go to the bathroom. He doesn't sleep. He's a vampire. He wanders the halls. He's crazy. He's old. He's a you know that. He's a you know this. He's done this to women. He's done this to kids. All these things is to dehumanize him, because at that point it makes for a relevant target where people will cheer if this target is taken down, to the point where anything, literally anything that he puts his name on, as I showed you last night, they want it ripped down. Anything that he does, the immediate visceral response is object to it. Do not agree to anything. You cannot agree to anything your enemy wants to do. But if you govern that way, don't you hurt the country? Absolutely. But we have an enemy. We cannot take our crosshairs off of the one man. We can't take our eyes off of the target here. This is our enemy. So when you hear these things, and I hope you understand that that is what they're doing, everything else falls to the wayside. We have to find a way to take this guy down and everything he stands for and all the people who believe in him. We need to somehow work on their psyche and let them come to the realization that he is the enemy. They will continue to put out propaganda and bad polls. And I saw a poll, I posted it today. The poll said that 8 out of 10 Trump voters regret voting for him and wouldn't vote for him right now. And I'm like, you guys know that's a lie. You understand it's complete BS. Not going to stop them. They're going to keep on doing everything they need to do to trash Trump.
This conversation with your children now 3 times that someone will try to kill their grandfather. So you heard Kimmel's comments on Thursday night, and you see he used Melania and now Barron for a punchline. What are you thinking tonight?
I mean, I just wonder, you're right, I've had to have 3 conversations now, Eric and I, with our children to tell them someone tried to hurt or actually kill their grandfather. And I honestly, Laura, I wonder at what point I'm going to have to tell them that the worst happened. No. You know, it used to be.
See, the problem with what she's saying, and I'm going to tell you something extremely evil. You have Democrats, libtards, one and the same, who wouldn't care if the same thing happened to his grandchildren. Have you ever seen some of the comments that are on Kai's post? Kai, the granddaughter, Don Jr.'s daughter, who's the golfer down here. She goes to the University of Miami. Have you seen some of the vile, sick things that they put on her post? A 17 or 18-year-old young woman who's just going into college, who's a golfer, who just happens to be the daughter of the granddaughter of the president of the United States. These people have completely lost it because they put their vileness on her as well. You've got guys who say things like, I'd like to tie you up and do this and that to you. And then when I'm done, cut off your head and mail it to your granddad. I mean, just vile stuff. And Laura's children are younger, but I'm sure that people would be happy if something happened to them as well. Imagine, you know, we don't often think of it this way. When you think of Melania being the mother to Barron, and you think of Laura and her small kids, and then, of course, Don Jr.'s kids. These are normal people. They're families. And everywhere they turn, people would think nothing about taking these people apart. Mike Johnson is talking, so I'll have to come back to this.
Michigan, Mrs. McLean. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthaler. The gentleman from California, Mr. Obernolte.
All right, so he's just taking roll, so we'll get back to that. But understand, this is just a mom. Many of you are mothers or grandmothers, and right now I want you to put yourself in a position where just because your husband, your uncle, your father, somebody you know is the president, the orange guy, and they want him so bad they would gladly take out your own kids as well. So I love this segment that she had with Laura Ingraham because it shows some vulnerability that a lot of people don't get a glimpse into.
That politics was a dirty business. It is now a dangerous business, especially, it seems, if you're a Republican, especially if your name is Donald Trump. But we didn't get here in a vacuum. You just laid out the case right there for so much of it. For nearly 10 years now, people on the other side of the political aisle from Donald Trump have pulled out all the stops to undercut him, to discredit him, to end his political career. And they have stooped to lows that I don't think any of us were expecting. To your point, how many times has this man been called a fascist and a Nazi? How about the Charlottesville hoax? You brought up the Russia collusion hoax. Madonna wanted to blow up the White House. Maxine Waters telling people to get up in their faces. They've all fundraised off of Donald Trump's supposed threat to democracy. So it should surprise absolutely no one that this is now the third attempt in 2 years to kill Donald Trump. And
you know, as she's saying that, some of you have to remember the stuff that Maxine Waters said was a long time ago. It's been a continuous onslaught, like the ninth wave on a beach. It has not let up. It's been continuous, constant, growingly more and more vile. If you've seen anything that James Carville has put out, forget this guy Hassan Piker. He's just the newest one. And you would think good people would distance themselves from some of this crazy talk. Nope. They're all in. They're really trying to get people to understand this is Hitler personified. This is Mussolini. This is Pol Pot. This is all these people wrapped up in one. It's almost, you have to wonder sometimes if it's something that, how did certain people stay sane? You and I have all been inundated with this messaging over and over and over. How did we stay sane? I think the only way is because we completely ignored it. We don't even listen to it too much. I cover some of it when I'm doing a show, but for the most part, we're kind of, impervious to the insanity. Most people aren't. Most people aren't news junkies like many of us are. Most people pretty much turn on CNN or MSNBC or CBS or ABC, and they get that programming and they let it wash over them. And they don't realize, everybody, every time I turn on television is telling me he's a Nazi. So I guess maybe he is a Nazi. Maybe that's true. And so I love it that the fact that Laura is trying to personalize him somewhat.
we don't have to live like this. These people absolutely need to come out and unequivocally state that Donald Trump was elected as the president of the United States, that he is not a tyrant, he is not a dictator, he is not authoritarian in what he does. I was highly disappointed to see a former president, when the motive had been very clearly broadcast, come out and say, well, we don't really know what happened on Saturday night.
Look, that was, as you know, Barack Obama. Immediately come right out. No, it wasn't an assassination attempt. And then, you know, Jasmine Crockett. Oh, I think it was staged. Everything to deflect. They don't want to give any harbor at all to this man and his family. And this guy on the Patrick Bet David podcast says it perfectly. It's what I just said. When you deem that person, that is the object of every bit of anger, mistrust, blame. I can't buy a house. My best friend was an illegal. I can't have 12, things anymore. I can't buy sugary drinks. All these different things. It's Trump's fault. They're even blaming the assassination attempt on Trump. Listen.
In their minds, Trump is the enemy. So, you said a second ago about, what Trump said about killing a civilization, which obviously was hyperbolic and not true, but they're the enemy.
See, you see people all over X saying it. Well, Trump said some mean things. Trump said some mean things about Iran, who happens to be a military adversary. They are actually defined as an enemy. And so when you try to compare what he said about Iran to Jimmy Kimmel, you're admitting that Jimmy Kimmel is an enemy. Just by that association. Iran's an enemy. He said bad things about an enemy that we would hope he would say about an enemy. And Jimmy Kimmel said something, oh, it's pretty much the same. Then you are admitting that President Trump is your enemy. Over the last couple of weeks, we've heard so much of the attack now being shifted on Melania, where she had to come out and make a speech because, they were trying to tie her into the, the Epstein stuff, which completely fizzled out, but they had to take a shot. It was another battle in their war. And then Jimmy Kimmel starts the next battle in the war against Melania. I've had Mark Beckman on the show twice or three times. We had an interview where we talked about him, and now today he's back out again going, I can't believe we're doing all this stuff about Melania. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
I truly believe that there's a massive faction on the left and somehow on the right now that doesn't view China as the enemy, that doesn't view Russia as the enemy, or even Iran as the enemy. There's a singular enemy, and his name is Donald Trump. Imagine that. You're an American, you're a citizen of the country, and your number one enemy is Donald Trump.
When was America great? America was great when we understood, we saluted the flag, we pledged allegiance to the flag, we supported our presidents, even if we didn't like them. I never, ever had a thought of, I wish Bill Clinton somebody would do something. Nope, never thought that way. I didn't even think that way about Biden. I felt bad for the old man falling upstairs and drooling and probably pooping his pants. But now it's become fashion. Now it's become somewhat accepted to want to see President Trump dead. And so to fight back, the only way to fight back is to accept that these people are your enemy. I know that sounds so bad talking about, I was going to say other Americans, but we don't even know who they are. But it sounds so bad to think that certain people are your enemy until you realize, until you read, until you see some of the things they really feel about you. When you see some of these TikTok videos, and I'm like, are you saying this because you want clicks, or are you really that bat poop crazy that you'd like to see people dismembered and destroyed, their businesses destroyed, simply because they're Trump supporters? I'm not going to get off of this because I really, really feel that people need to understand at this point that you do have an enemy, and it's not one man like they have, it's an entire party. And every time one of them breaks free and says, hey, listen, this is kind of weird, they get destroyed. They will eat their own if it means that anybody is looking good towards Trump. If they have anything good to say about him, they've been determined to go down with the ship at this point. So we should help them go down with the ship. Don't at all let up your guard. I'm tired of saying it, but these people are crazy, and I'm pretty sure it's only going to get worse. Not pretty sure. I am 100% confident it's only going to get worse. Why is that? Because it seems that at this point, as though the Trump administration with the grand juries are actually just starting to ramp up. You're not the only one who looks at this and go, oh, Comey got indicted? Oh, Fauci's boy got indicted or arrested? And it just keeps coming? Oh, they're raiding Minnesota? It's just starting. And those two grand juries, we don't even know yet what they're looking at. Today, when Comey got indicted, they're saying he got indicted for the picture. Why would that be important? Why would Comey's indictment about the picture be important? Well, I'm not a lawyer, but here's what I would surmise. If you can get indicted for putting up a picture that says 8647, a mere picture, if a grand jury says to themselves, yeah, I think you should go arrest this dude, he threatened the president. If the former director of the FBI can get indicted for putting a picture on Instagram, what about them pieces of crap that are saying all kinds of things on TikTok and on X and on Facebook or in your neighborhoods? It is a shot across the bow. Also, before I go to break here, before they bring him in, not sure if you saw, but the Virginia Supreme Court temporarily said no to the Attorney General of Virginia and said, you're not going to reverse this other judge's decision. And as such, you cannot use the new redistricting that went in place because of the election. Mark Elias freaked out because he didn't get his way on another lawsuit. So over and over at this point, it's starting to hit home. And if you're not like a news junkie and you're not in it, you probably wouldn't even know it was there. But this is what's happening. And of course, the media is not really going to talk about it because they don't want people to know that the losses are stacking. They'll put every single loss that they possibly can into the Trump column and blast it. But every time they lose something, nobody talks about it. You saw Akeem Jeffries last night. I showed it to you. He's freaking out. It's completely unhinged. They are completely stagnant. They have nothing to offer America. They have nothing to offer their own people. And at this point, get Trump, target Trump is it. And so understand, there are probably going to be more attacks. Pray that none of them are successful. Because if that were to happen, I think the civil war that's being fought in the trenches, like in behind the scenes, would become real very, very soon. All right, so he hasn't walked in yet. So let me check out with SB. SB, what you got? Anything? Whoa, now you're even higher. What are you sitting on?
Hey, I'm growing every day.
See, now I got to adjust it again because you're like, you're way up in the air. All right.
I actually, I panned in with my camera. I could tilt it and stuff. I was making some adjustments.
Okay. Well, now you got to make, now I got to do an adjustment. Go ahead. How you doing?
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I was marking myself safe from World War XI. So let me update my status.
Oh my goodness. In case you guys don't know, Ilhan Omar, it's an older tape, but it's out there where they're saying, you know, where she said a speech about World War XI.
What an idiot.
Well, you know, it's funny when I saw that, and I was thinking, I hope more people see it and realize that these people are stupid. They're not faking. They are really stupid, and they were never voted in. They were obviously placed in because if you number one, if you're from America and you thought there were 11 world wars, you must have been like Rip Van Winkle and went to sleep or something. And I mean, that's the first part. I don't know how you got there. That's insane. But
well, I grokked a couple days ago, and because somebody said something. What is the average IQ of a Somalian person? And Grok came back and said 65. I mean, wow. I mean, these people are still dragging knuckles and shit.
Now understand what you asked. You asked the average.
Average, right? That means there's a lot lower. That's a mean.
There's a whole bunch of people. Whole bunch of people lower. Works. Oh man, you should have.
I actually.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was like, find out what the median is, because there's something really, really wrong there. Absolutely wrong.
I don't think any are over 100, but here's something that's going to cue the leftard craziness. So they're furious that Marco Rubio's State Department just unveiled Donald Trump passports available as a limited edition during America's 250th birthday. 47 is on the passport along with our founders and the Declaration of Independence. You can apply going to the Washington Passport Agency. I just got mine renewed. I think I'm going to get another one.
So you could
I'm
get
gonna have that go.
if you renew your passport, you can get a Donald Trump passport.
Yes, it's
That's
limited
gold.
edition.
That is absolute. That's absolute gold. That will freak people out. Well, everything.
Yes.
At this point, I think they're almost feeding the beast. You guys want to go crazy? Here's something else. Just throw it at you. What did you text me this morning? I should find it. You text me
I
something.
text you a lot. I don't remember everything.
The whole no kings thing. He's here. It is.
Oh, yeah.
I got to show it.
Classic.
SB texted me this morning, and I looked at it, and then
King
Trump posted it, and I'm like, oh gosh, let me show everybody real quick. I got to show you this. Okay, this popped up. It says, wow. Okay, first the Daily Mail posts this article, revealed how the Mail traced Trump's family tree and found out he's the king's cousin. And President Trump says, wow, that's nice. I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace. I'll talk to the king and queen about this in a few minutes.
Oh my God, he's the king of troll.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, Obama is related too. I grokked it. I actually looked that up. He's related through some 15th cousin through somebody else. I think somebody said earlier, since Adam and Eve started, I'm related to you, Barry. I think I have to get some reparations or something.
Oh my,
can you pay me?
It's too much. Oh gosh, this over. Don't get me started on this reparation stuff. That's
well, here's
crazy.
some good news. So CNBC earlier said consumer confidence comes in far stronger than expected. So, obviously CNN's going to have to hold back the bile to report that. But yes, the confidence is coming in far stronger. Everything's going up. And that's even with what's going on in Iran right now. So just imagine when it's all over, we're gonna be back to so much prosperity. Play that winning meme.
The winning? Where's the?
Yeah, we gotta have
that. Hold on.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
All right, SB, get your band hammer ready because King
All
Charles.
right, here we go.
King Charles is making his way up. So
all right,
I'll
I'm
talk
ready,
to you
bro.
guys
I'm ready.
afterwards. Turn on the microphone. They haven't turned on the microphone yet. Waiting for them to turn on the microphone. Hold on. Go here.
Very relaxed, very happy to be here, and I think very happy to be the center of attention and of a lot of respect and admiration over the course of this trip. It is a big moment for King Charles as he steps to the podium to make this speech, and you see Queen Camilla by his side as she gets ready to watch her husband, Charles, give this speech to Congress. And, there's been a lot said about Keir Starmer. Prime ministers come and go. As Queen Elizabeth said, she knew about 14, I believe, prime ministers during her reign. So prime ministers come and go, but the royal family is forever. So let's just stand by as we watch King Charles get ready to give this really momentous speech to the joint session of Congress. This is a privilege that has been given to his mother in 1991 and now to King Charles. Let's watch.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Majesty Charles III.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of Congress, representatives of the American people across all states, territories, cities, and communities. I would like, if I may, to take this opportunity to express my particular gratitude to you all for the great honor of addressing this joint meeting of Congress, and on behalf of the Queen and myself, to thank the American people for welcoming us to the United States to mark this semi-quincentennial year of the Declaration of Independence. And for all of that time, for all of that time, our destinies as nations have been interlinked. As Oscar Wilde said, we have really everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, language. So, ladies and gentlemen, we meet in times of great uncertainty, in times of conflict from Europe to the Middle East, which pose immense challenges for the international community and whose impact is felt in communities the length and breadth of our own countries. We meet too in the aftermath of the incident not far from this great building that sought to harm the leadership of your nation and to foment wider fear and discord. Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed. Whatever our differences, whatever disagreements we may have, we stand united in our commitment to uphold democracy, to protect all our people from harm, and to salute the courage of those who daily risk their lives in the service of our countries. Standing here today, it is hard not to feel the weight of history on my shoulder, because the modern relationship between our two nations and our own peoples spans not merely 250 years, but over 4 centuries. It is extraordinary to think that I am the 19th in our line of sovereigns to study with daily attention the affairs of America. So I come here today with the highest respect for the United States Congress, this citadel of democracy created to represent the voice of all American people to advance sacred rights and freedoms. Speaking in this renowned chamber of debate and deliberation, I cannot help but think of my late mother, Queen Elizabeth, who in 1991 was also afforded this signal honor and similarly spoke under the watchful eye of the Statue of Freedom above us. Today, I am here on this great occasion in the life of our nations to express the highest regard and friendship of the British people to the people of the United States. Now, as you may know, when I address my own Parliament at Westminster, we still follow an age-old tradition and take a Member of Parliament hostage, holding him or her at Buckingham Palace until I am safely returned. These days, we look after our guests rather well, to the point that they often do not want to leave. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, if there were any volunteers for that role here today. As I look back across the centuries, Mr. Speaker, there emerge certain patterns, certain self-evident truths from which we can learn and draw mutual strength. With the spirit of 1776 in our minds, we can perhaps agree that we do not always agree, at least in the first instance. Indeed, the very principle on which your Congress was founded, no taxation without representation, was at once a fundamental disagreement between us, and at the same time a shared democratic value which you inherited from us. Ours is a partnership born out of dispute, but no less strong for it. So perhaps in this example, we can discern that our nations are in fact instinctively like-minded, a product of the common democratic, legal, and social traditions in which our governance is rooted to this day. Drawing on these values and traditions, time and again, our two countries have always found ways to come together. And by Jove, Mr. Speaker, when we have found that way to agree, what great change is brought about, not just for the benefit of our peoples, but of all peoples. This, I believe, is the special ingredient in our relationship. As President Trump himself observed during his state visit to Britain last autumn, the bond of kinship and identity between America and the United Kingdom is priceless and eternal. It is irreplaceable and unbreakable. Mr. Speaker, this is by no means my first visit to Washington, D.C., the capital of this great republic. It is, in fact, my 20th visit to the United States and my first as King and head of the Commonwealth. This is a city which symbolizes a period in our shared history, or what Charles Dickens might have called a tale of two Georges. First President George Washington and my 5 times great-grandfather, King George III. King George, as you know, never set foot in America, and please rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, I am not here as part of some cunning rearguard action. The Founding Fathers were bold and imaginative rebels with a cause. 250 years ago, or as we say in the United Kingdom, just the other day, they declared independence. By balancing contending forces and drawing strength into diversity, they united 13 disparate colonies to forge a nation on the revolutionary idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They carried with them and carried forward the great inheritance of the British Enlightenment, as well as the ideals which had an even deeper history in English common law and Magna Carta. These roots run deep, and they are still vital. Our Declaration of Rights of 1689 was not only the foundation of our constitutional monarchy, but also provided the source of so many of the principles reiterated, often verbatim, in the American Bill of Rights of 1791. And those roots go even further back in history. The US Supreme Court Historical Society has calculated that Magna Carta is cited in at least 160 Supreme Court cases since 1789, not least as the foundation of the principle that executive power is subject to checks and balances. This is the reason why there stands a stone by the River Thames at Runnymede, where Magna Carta was signed in the year 1215. This stone records that an acre of that ancient and historic site was given to the United States of America by the people of the United Kingdom to symbolize our shared resolve in support of liberty and in memory of President John F. Kennedy. Distinguished members of the 119th Congress, it is here in these very halls that this spirit of liberty and the promise of America's founders is present in every session and every vote cast, not by the will of one, but by the deliberation of many, representing the living mosaic of the United States. In both of our countries, it is the very fact of our vibrant, diverse, and free societies that gives us our collective strength, including to support victims of some of the ills that so tragically exist in both our societies today. And, Mr. Speaker, for many here, and for myself, the Christian faith is a firm anchor and daily inspiration that guides us, not only personally, but together as members of our community. Having devoted a large part of my life to interfaith relationships and greater understanding, it is that faith in the triumph of light over darkness which I have found confirmed countless times. Through it, I am inspired by the profound respect that develops as people of different faiths grow in their understanding of each other. It is why, it is my hope, my prayer, that in these turbulent times, working together and with our international partners, we can stem the beating of plowshares into swords. I am mindful that we are still in the season of Easter, the season that most strengthens my hope. It is why I believe with all my heart that the essence of our two nations is a generosity of spirit and a duty to foster compassion, to promote peace, to deepen mutual understanding, and to value all people of all faiths and of none. The alliance that our two nations have built over the centuries, and for which we are profoundly grateful to the American people, is truly unique. And that alliance is part of what Henry Kissinger described as Kennedy's soaring vision of an Atlantic partnership based on twin pillars, Europe and America. That partnership, I believe, Mr. Speaker, is more important today than it has ever been. The first reigning British sovereign to set foot in America was my grandfather, King George VI. He visited in 1939 with my beloved grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. The forces of fascism in Europe were on the march, and sometime before the United States had joined us in the defense of freedom, our shared values prevailed. Today, we find ourselves in a new era, but those values remain. It is an era that is in many ways more volatile and more dangerous than the world to which my late mother spoke in this chamber in 1991. The challenges we face are too great for any one nation to bear alone. But in this unpredictable environment, our alliance cannot rest on past achievements or assume that foundational principles simply endure. As my Prime Minister said last month, ours is an indispensable partnership. We must not disregard everything that has sustained us for the last 80 years. Instead, we must build on it. Renewal today starts with security. The United Kingdom recognizes that the threats we face demand a transformation in British defence. That is why our country, in order to be fit for the future, has committed to the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War, during part of which, over 50 years ago, I served with immense pride in the Royal Navy, following in the naval footsteps of my father, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, my grandfather, King George VI, my great-uncle, Lord Mountbatten, and my great-grandfather, King George V. This year, of course, also marks the 25th anniversary of 9/11. This atrocity was a defining moment for America, and your pain and shock were felt around the whole world. During my visit to New York, my wife and I will again pay our respects to the victims, the families, and the bravery shown in the face of terrible loss. We stood with you then, and we stand with you now in solemn remembrance of a day that shall never be forgotten. In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people. It is needed in order to secure a truly just and lasting peace. From the depths of the Atlantic to the disastrously melting ice caps of the Arctic, the commitment and expertise of the United States Armed Forces and its allies lie at the heart of NATO, pledged to each other's defense, protecting our citizens and interests, keeping North Americans and Europeans safe from our common adversaries. Our defense, intelligence, and security ties are hardwired together through relationships measured not in years, but in decades. Today, thousands of US service personnel, defense officials and their families are stationed in the United Kingdom, as British personnel serve with equal pride across 30 American states. We are building F-35s together, and we have agreed the most ambitious submarine program in history, AUKUS. And we are doing it in partnership with Australia, a country of which I'm also immensely proud to serve as sovereign. We do not embark on these remarkable endeavors together out of sentiment. We do so because they build greater shared resilience for the future, so making our citizens safer for generations to come. Our common ideals were not only crucial for liberty and equality, they are also the foundation of our shared prosperity. The rule of law, the certainty of stable and accessible rules, an independent judiciary resolving disputes and delivering impartial justice. These features created the conditions for centuries of unmatched economic growth in our two countries. This is why our governments are concluding new economic and technology agreements to write the next chapter of our joint prosperity and ensure that British and American ingenuity continues to lead the world. Our nations are combining talent and resources in the technologies of tomorrow. Our new partnerships in nuclear fusion and quantum computing and in AI and drug discovery, holding the promise of saving countless lives. More broadly, we celebrate the $430 billion in annual trade that continues to grow, the $1.7 trillion in mutual investment that fuels that innovation, and the millions of jobs on both sides of the Atlantic, supported across both economies. These are strong foundations on which to continue to build for generations yet unborn. Our ties in education, research, and cultural exchange empower citizens and future leaders of both countries. The Marshall Scholarship, named after the great General George Marshall, and the association of which I am so proud to be patron, are emblematic of the connection between our two countries. Since its founding, more than 2,300 scholarships have been awarded, opening doors for Americans from all walks of life to study at the United Kingdom's leading universities. So as we look toward the next 250 years, we must also reflect on our shared responsibility to safeguard nature, our most precious and irreplaceable asset. Millennia before our nations existed, before any border drawn, The mountains of Scotland and Appalachia were one, a single continuous range forged in the ancient collision of continents. The natural wonders of the United States of America are indeed a unique asset, and generations of Americans have risen to this calling. Indigenous, political, and civic leaders, people in rural communities and cities alike, have all helped to protect and nurture what President Theodore Roosevelt called the glorious heritage of this land's extraordinary natural splendor, on which so much of its prosperity has always depended. Yet, even as we celebrate the beauty that surrounds us, our generation must decide how to address the collapse of critical natural systems, which threatens far more than the harmony and essential diversity of nature. We ignore at our peril the fact that these natural systems, in other words, nature's own economy, provide the foundation for our prosperity and our national security. The story of the United Kingdom and the United States is at its heart a story of reconciliation, renewal, and remarkable partnership. From the bitter divisions of 250 years ago, we forged a friendship that has grown into one of the most consequential alliances in human history. I pray with all my heart that our alliance will continue to defend our shared values with our partners in Europe and the Commonwealth and across the world. And that we ignore the clarion calls to become ever more inward-looking. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, America's words carry weight and meaning, as they have since independence. The actions of this great nation matter even more. President Lincoln understood this so well with his reflection in the magisterial Gettysburg Address, that the world may little note what we say, but will never forget what we do. And so to the United States of America, on your 250th birthday, let our two countries rededicate ourselves to each other in the selfless service of our peoples and of all the peoples of the world. God bless the United States, and God bless the United Kingdom.
How about no? Goodbye. Oh my gosh. He lost me when he said Ukraine. I'm like, did they really give this guy some time on stage? I mean, I tried to give him every benefit of a doubt. I try to let you guys, like, please don't let SV go crazy on the troll button. But oh gosh, oh my gosh, don't. You know, one of the things, it was funny, I was listening to Glenn Beck this morning. And one of the things, because Glenn Beck can't get out there, but he said something today that really struck me. He's like, we are the only country, we are the only country that seems grounded in sanity. All these other countries have completely, excuse my language, lost their shit. They're under some grand idea of climate change, and we all get to live together, and let's bring in the Somalis and the Sudanese and all these other countries, let them take over our countries, and we all need to come together and do it in unity and have one big United Nations and one big World Economic Forum, and everything will be fine. No. What's sad is that's exactly what the Democrats want. They want one big, great world. We're all the same. No one's better than the other person. Take the jet, go fly back across the ocean, and stay there. Wow, you took all this time to fly over to America to say that? You wasted your breath. And it's funny to me because President Trump gave such a great speech this morning. President Trump really talked about doing some things, and this guy came out here and basically threw up all over our Congress. I mean, J.D. Vance must have been sitting there going, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. No, he doesn't get it. I'm looking at J.D. Vance now exiting. I got to go. This guy's crazy. This ain't happening. Absolutely. Hold on. Let's give Fox a chance to see how they read it.
To defend our shared values with our partners in Europe and the Commonwealth, and that we will ignore the clarion call to become ever inward looking. And with that, we want to bring in Niall Gardner, former foreign policy advisor.
Please don't be America first. Please don't look inward. No, we're not really looking at inward. We're looking at the whole Western Hemisphere. And this guy's like, our destiny is linked. Not really. Not if you're talking like that. We are completely far apart. My gosh. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe I heard it wrong. I listened to it just as you guys did. And I cannot believe that they're still trying to force this global crap down our throats. And he has to know Trump ain't going to go for it. All the administration was there. I mean, the cabinet, they were all there. Trump wasn't there, obviously. He probably already had this meeting in the Oval Office and like, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. That ain't going to happen. SB, are you around? Did you hear the same thing I did?
Absolutely. I have the same response. How about no?
No. Bye.
Holy,
See
get
you
in
later.
your Jaguar and get the hell out of here.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny.
I had planned on doing 2 shows because tonight is the big dinner. So everybody's going to be at the dinner. I don't know if they're going to have a tent because we don't have a ballroom. So are they going to host it in a tent? And then at the tent, they're going to, do their pomp and circumstances. And the only reason I would actually show it is because Melania and President Trump and the cabinet are going to be there. But my gosh.
Yeah. I couldn't believe all the clapping. I mean, you actually saw the liberals standing up and clapping. I mean, I get it because they want what the UK has: lawlessness, chaos, Muslim run all over people, innocent people like you and I getting arrested.
What do you mean they want what the UK has? I thought they were about no kings.
Well, exactly. It's what make it make sense. Nothing makes sense, but they're up there going, yeah. Didn't we get rid of these guys?
Did you see Chuck Schumer? He just had this weird look on his face like, this is the best thing ever. He's talking globalism. I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
Did he have a lobotomy or something? Did they take part of what's left of his brain out?
I mean, this is what the rest of the world feels right now. They want a one world government. I mean, he's king over there, but he wants other people to be the same way. He would love if President Trump would just give in and take it. Man, crazy.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy. I'm looking at, is this President Trump? No, I was looking at, they've got a motorcade out front, but wow.
So what do we have on cue next? What's coming up?
Sanity. I guess that's what we got, because I've got President Trump this morning, he had a speech, and He talked, it was nice pomp and circumstance. Melania looked incredible,
She
as
always
fierce
does.
as she always does. And they had the military and a 21 gun salute and everything. And then President Trump gave a nice speech, and this guy came here and just vomited all over everybody.
Ugh. Yeah, chat didn't really like him so much. I let a lot of stuff
No.
slide. There was one troll, some guy in there, Christian. He came back under 6, 7, 8, 9 different IDs with the same header, which made it easy to ban. But he has a little problem with me. So come back, Christian. Come on, bring them all in.
All right,
I'll get rid of all of
them. I can't apologize because it is news. It is history. He did come over, but hey, don't let the door hit you. Gotta go.
Exactly. All
and
right.
I'm wondering what they're going to say tonight. It just doesn't make any sense, anything at all. Why he
You
would
think
have
it'll
said?
be news? You think it'll be newsworthy or what?
Oh, well, I guarantee you the people on the left are going to be beside themselves, making sure everybody knows how great of a job that, King Charles did. But, right now on Fox, they've got British people doing their analysis. And I'm like, so the British people are going to say, what they have to say. They can't go back to Britain after
Right.
trashing King Charles. But I just didn't have any. Like I said, as soon as I heard him say we need to give money to Ukraine, I was like, I'm done. I got nothing for you. All right, so let me show President Trump's speech, and we'll
right.
decide whether
See
or
you
not we.
soon.
I'll have to put up a poll. Do people want to see the dinner tonight? Before I put up the poll, if you want to leave some comments, SV will see it and let me know if you even are interested in seeing the dinner tonight. Let me know. All right, so
Hey, one last thing.
Please.
Whoever the social media person is for the White House account, they need to get a raise. You saw what I sent you, right?
Two
I
kings.
mean, they deserve a raise.
Oh, by the way, speaking of social media, before I go to commercial, I got to show you what President Trump popped up a couple of things. All right, SV, I'll be back to you.
All right, see you soon.
All right, so
All right.
President Trump popped a couple of things. He posted this at 9:30 this morning. It says Iran has just informed us that they are in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they'll be able to do. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. That was in regards to Iran is in big, deep poopy at this point. They can't get their stuff together. The oil that they have is I just hope they don't dump it into the strait. And then he came back literally just about an hour ago with this. He says the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. He doesn't know what he's talking about. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, the whole world would be held hostage. I'm doing something with Iran right now that other nations or presidents should have done long ago. No wonder Germany is doing so poorly, both economically and otherwise. Well, guess what? King Charles just came and gave basically the exact same speech. Oh yeah, we need to be all together, all unified. Let's come together. We are the world type thing. The only thing they were missing was Michael Jackson's song. And I'm sorry, but I just can't. Like I said, as soon as he said give money to Ukraine, I was like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. All right, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Brightcore. A little bit late because the festivities. Did you know that United States life expectancy peaked at 78 years in 2014, and global life expectancy has been declining for the first time in 30 years because people are aging faster than ever before, and this is due to the more toxins they get through the air, the chemicals in our soil, and all the stuff that seeps into our food and other external factors that are new to us. What most people don't know is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level. There's been studies put out where that's actually the truth, and Brightcore sent me this study. Where scientists discovered that kimchi actually slows the aging process of human cells. helping protect them and delay aging at the cellular level. The power of nature can indeed outweigh the power of pharmaceuticals. And you won't get any nasty side effects. And now you can get all the benefits of kimchi in a simple capsule with Kimchi One. Each capsule delivers 900 probiotic strains, plus antioxidants and enzymes that support your digestion, metabolism, your skin health, all from the inside out. As we age, we become more susceptible to microbial threats. Kimchi One is a natural antimicrobial, helping your body fight off harmful bacteria, viruses, and even toxins while boosting immunity and energy. I wish you would do something about vocal cords that get strained. Best of all, Kimchi One is 100% made in the United States, all natural and non-GMO. So support your gut, protect your cells, and feel younger every day with Kimchi One from Brightcore. And if you, like many people here in the Fanfare audience, would like to get some Kimchi One, you can do so. Simply, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link in the description below and just use the code BARRY for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. And I will ask them if they have a vocal cord stimulator or something. Be back in 90 seconds. We're going to listen to President Trump's speech this morning.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey, listen, I'm going to show you President Trump's speech today with the King, but at the same time, they just scheduled a press conference with the DOJ about Comey's indictment. So what I'm going to do is when they start, we'll jump in because there's a lot of pleasantries before President Trump's speech. And then I don't know how long this press conference will go. And then what we'll do is we'll actually pick up with President Trump. But they've got it ready where he's supposed to come out anytime. I guess this might be Todd Blanche again. Not really sure. All right, let's listen to what happened this morning.
As honors are rendered to the president and remaining standing for the arrival of their majesties, King Charles III and Queen Camilla, and the playing of the national anthems of the United Kingdom and the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the United Kingdom, followed by the national anthem of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
So before President Trump begins, what I'm going to do, since President Trump's speech here is about 15 minutes, I'm going to pause the feed on the DOJ press conference about Comey, and then when President Trump is done, I'll unfreeze or fast forward, and we'll put on the DOJ thing. So let's listen to Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, everybody. What a beautiful British day this is. And it really is. Your Majesties, members of the British delegation, friends, service members, and distinguished guests, welcome to the beautiful White House. Great honor to have you. Melania and I will never forget the spectacular honor Your Majesties showed us during our extraordinary visit to Windsor Castle last September. Now it is our tremendous privilege to host you, and you're going to have a wonderful short stay, but stay nevertheless. Then you're going over to Congress, and you're going to make a speech that's going to make everybody very envious of that beautiful accent of yours. Very elegant. He's a very elegant man. Here in the shadows of monuments to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, honoring the British King might seem an ironic beginning to our celebration of 250 years of American independence. But in fact, no tribute could be more appropriate. Long before Americans had a nation or a constitution, we first had a culture, a character, and a creed. Before we ever proclaimed our independence, Americans carried within us the rarest of gifts, moral courage, and it came from a small but mighty kingdom from across the sea. For nearly 2 centuries before the Revolution, this land was settled and forged by men, women who bore in their souls the blood and noble spirit of the British. Here on a wild and untamed continent, they set loose the ancient English love of liberty and the Great Britain's distinctive sense of glory, destiny, and pride. And that's what it is, glory, destiny, and pride. The American patriots who pledged their lives to independence in 1776 were the heirs to this majestic inheritance. Their veins ran with Anglo-Saxon courage. Their hearts beat with an English faith in standing firm for what is right, good, and true. In recent years, we've often heard it said that America is merely an idea, but the cause of freedom did not simply appear as an intellectual invention of 1776. The American founding was the culmination of hundreds of years of thought, struggle, sweat, blood, and sacrifice on both sides of the Atlantic. Fate drew a long arc from the meadow at Runnymede to the streets of Philadelphia that ran through the lives of people born and bred on the British code that no man should be denied either justice or right. American patriots today can sing "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty," only because our colonial ancestors first sang, "God save the King." We see today a living symbol of this centuries-old bond, just a few dozen feet to the left where I stand. There, Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth, an incredible woman who I had the privilege of getting to know. Queen Elizabeth II, very, very special woman who is very greatly missed on both sides of that mighty Atlantic, long ago planted a young tree. It was a very young and beautiful tree, and look at it now. It's tripled in size and tripled in strength, very much as our nations have even more than tripled. Like our nation itself, it was laid with British hands but grew in American soil. Today it stands tall and proud, reaching ever higher. And this morning it reminds us that the mightiest of trees, like the greatest of nations, must be anchored by the strongest and deepest of roots. In the centuries since we won our independence, Americans have had no closer friends than the British. We share that same root. We speak the same language. We hold the same values. And together our warriors have defended the same extraordinary civilization under twin banners of red, white, and blue. My wonderful mother, Mary MacLeod, was born in Stornoway, Scotland, the Hebrides, and that's what they call very serious Scotland. There's no question about it. Some places they say, well, it wasn't really Scotland. The Hebrides, that's real serious Scotland. That's where they had their greatest of warriors, the greatest of warriors. She came to America at 19, met my incredible father. We loved him so much. We all loved him. We loved her. We loved him, Fred, and they were married for 63 years. And excuse me if you don't mind. That's a record we won't be able to match, darling. I'm sorry. Just not going to work out that way. We'll do well, but we're not going to do that well. 63 years. And my mother, I just see it so clearly. She loved, and I told the king this, she loved the royal family, and she loved the queen. And anytime the queen was involved in a ceremony or anything, my mother would be glued to the television, and she'd say, look, Donald, look how beautiful that is. She really did love the family, but I also remember her saying very clearly, Charles, look, young Charles, he's so cute. It's my mother. My mother had a crush on Charles. Can you believe it? Amazing how, I wonder what she's thinking right now. But beneath those beautiful flags, 8 decades ago, Prime Minister Winston Churchill and President Franklin Roosevelt famously met on a ship in the North Atlantic to outline a vision for the free world after World War II. That understanding of our nation's unique bond and role in history is the essence of our special relationship, and we hope it will always remain that way. The ship where the two great leaders met was called the Prince of Wales, the very title that His Majesty the King held longer than any other individual in British history, and he held it with great pride and respect. It's said that when Prime Minister Churchill first met this future king many decades ago, he was so impressed, he made the statement, he is so young to think so much and so well. And the bust of your great Prime Minister rests proudly again in the Oval Office. We're very proud to bring it back. We brought it back. Throughout His Majesty's life, the world has witnessed that same thoughtfulness which first struck Britain's greatest Prime Minister. His Majesty's intellect, passion, and devotion have been really a blessing to the British people, but not only to his own country, but to the cherished bond between the United States and the United Kingdom. And I am very certain that it will continue that way long into the future. In a few hours, His Majesty will stand in the heart of the United States Capitol as the very first British king ever to address a joint session of the United States Congress. So he's going to be addressing Congress, and I'm going to be watching. I was thinking of going, but they said, I don't know, that might be a step too far. I would love to go. It's not supposed to be protocol, but I would love to be with you. But there, the direct descendant of King George III will speak to the direct successor of the very body that gathered in Independence Hall on July 4th, 1776. If John Adams and George Washington, or the King's fifth great-grandfather, could see that sight, they might be absolutely shocked, but probably only for a moment. Surely they would be delighted that the wounds of war healed into the most cherished friendship. Think of that very, very long ago difficult war, and yet those wounds did indeed heal into the most cherished of friendships, most cherished. They would be moved beyond words to know that the soldiers who once called each other Redcoats and Yankees became the Tommies and the GIs who together saved the free world as brothers in arms and brothers in eternity, and nobody fought better together than us. If they could see us today, our ancestors would surely be filled with awe and pride that the Anglo-American Revolution in human freedom was never, ever extinguished, but carried forward across centuries, across oceans, and across history until it became a fire that lit the entire world. So today we look back on 250 years. Let us remember what has made our countries the two most exceptional nations the world has ever known. And together let us go forward with even stronger resolve to carry on our sacred devotion to liberty and to the traditions of excellence that have been our shared gift of all mankind. Your Majesties, thank you once again for making this important visit. We are so honored. May God forever bless the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Northern Ireland, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able for the conclusion of the ceremony and departure of the official party.
We'll be right back with the Comey Department of Justice press conference. Silver and gold are going to be under attack. You guys at this point know it. So you understand what is the most essential asset in your life is one you don't own. I'm talking about silver. The world's industrial the industrial world is running out of it. Despite all of this stuff, it's going to come back to the point where we have to have silver. AI, which President Trump keeps talking about, demands that we have silver. The U.S. government recently designated silver a critical mineral. Why? Because you can't build a single solar panel, electric vehicle, or modern computer without it. You definitely can't do AI without it. So for 5 straight years, we've used more silver than we can possibly mine. For those of you who took economics, that is complete supply and demand. Unlike paper money, producers can't just print more silver to meet this exploding demand. This isn't just a shiny metal. It's a matter of national security, and you're seeing it right now, how it goes down when the oil goes up. It's all being manipulated. Get your information, do your research, don't get caught flat-footed. It definitely is a matter of national security and economic survival. That's why experts see it hitting $150 an ounce, and Bank of America, they said it could climb up to $300 by the end of this year. Think about it. If the industries to power the world need it, if you need it to do everything with AI that President Trump is talking about, with these data centers and everything else, then you know this is a temporary thing, and you see it every other day. But you're going to have to do your own research. I personally own it. I continue to buy because I can tell where that puck is headed. So call my friends at Lear Capital, give them 10 minutes, and they'll help you get started today, or give them a call tomorrow, rather, 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com and download a free silver report. And then read that report and start understanding what's going on in the market, because it's volatile, but there's a stability that has to be in place because they just can't make any more. And now after this whole thing, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't even tell you if it wasn't true. After this Iran thing is done, bada bing, bada boom, it's gonna explode. All right, so we're still waiting for the press conference. This press conference is now a half hour late, not really sure why, but good, it timed out just right. And this is the press conference on James Comey's grand jury indictment. So they're going to tell us all about that. And as soon as that comes on, we will jump right to it. SV, you got anything for me?
Sure. Let's check in North Carolina. Let's see what's going on. Oh, okay. Holy smokes. The swing state of North Carolina just confirmed it found 34,000 deceased people on its voter rolls. It happened again. That thing that left said is impossible. Purge the rolls. Hermit Dillon says, told you.
But we're going to lose the midterms.
Oh my gosh. How is it? Remember everybody said, trust the science. Trust elections are all good. There's no fraud. Remember? Listen to what I have to say. They must
be absolutely freaking out because the vote tallies in these areas, the margins weren't that big, and as they're chopping off the illegals and they're finding the dead people and cleaning up the rolls, how are they going to make this up?
That's a good question, because the borders are closed, and there are not a lot of folks coming in trying to migrate these days. So,
and there's a lot of self-deportations going on. I don't know how they make up these numbers. Nobody has ever come on television on any of the channels and explained that to me. If you supposedly won XYZ state by this much, and now that much isn't there anymore, how do you make it up? And that's why I feel so confident about the midterms, because it's only April. You don't even know how many more people they're going to chop off these rolls. So I'm watching a margin in certain states just drop. And then like people say, they just cheat again. Well, you kind of can't cheat if the numbers simply aren't there. I mean, they got away with stuff like there was a 5,000 people on the entire roll in a county or city, but 10,000 people voted and nobody thought to, what do we do about that?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how to go fix
Well,
that.
my state of Virginia, though, I mean, look what happened, a week or so ago. I mean, everything was going hunky dory. And then, of course, when Fairfax came into play, all the votes started coming in, and then it changed. I still think there's a lot of cheating going on somehow, some way. I mean, there's no way that you can have so many, those yes votes coming in when there's no votes. It's
So
not like Fairfax County is completely blue.
And so you're right there. And so are they freaking out because of the Supreme Court, the Virginia Supreme Court decision today they're not going to overturn it?
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna keep on appealing. I mean, it's not a done deal yet, but it does look better. I'm hoping that, the smarts overweigh the dumbness around here. Cause I mean,
but wait a minute. So if the Virginia Supreme Court said no, not yet, I don't really understand it. Does it kick it back down to the lower court, or has it got to go up to the Supreme Court of the country?
I think it goes up to the next level. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, look, at this point, I'm not holding my breath, because every time I check X, there's some new story. So I'm letting stuff cook. I kind of stopped with Mario. He occasionally puts out some stuff that, it's not really shocking that I can use.
I'm telling you, some people are beginning to call him out, and I'm like, I've seen it myself. It seems like he plays both sides of the fence and just puts out what he thinks one side wants to hear. And what was the one that we looked? Oh,
it
Tulsi
was about
Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard, right? And that, have we heard anything else? Not a peep,
nothing.
Right? It's all about this right here.
Yeah, and he was the only person that I saw posted. I couldn't find it anywhere else. And I'm like, why would you put something like that out there if that wasn't the case? All right, so while we're waiting for this thing to happen, which the room is starting to fill up now, so they may have gotten a warning to come on. I've got some stuff to tell you about what's going on with Jimmy. Oh, wait a minute, and here we go. All right, hold on.
Your home. And
good afternoon. Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice. Over the past year, this department has charged dozens of cases involving threats against all sorts of individuals. We take these seriously, every single one of them. For example, just today in the Northern District of Florida, there was a guilty plea from an individual who threatened multiple political leaders, including President Trump. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, where this case was indicted earlier today, there are multiple threats cases very similar to this one, including one where the defendant pled guilty recently to threatening former President Biden, another one that's scheduled to go to trial this summer, another one indicted, an individual was indicted for threatening Tom Homan. I say that to say that while this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute. I want to take a moment to thank the hardworking members of the FBI who investigated this case over the past 11 months or so, the United States Secret Service, who also assisted in this investigation, and the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina, led by United States Attorney Ellis Boyle, who's standing to my right. This was an investigation that remains ongoing. That's been ongoing for about a year, and that's all we're going to say about it today. I will let the U.S. Attorney Boyle speak now, and then after that, Director Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Earlier today, a grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned a true bill indicting Mr. James Comey with committing 2 felonies. Count 1, he knowingly and willfully made a threat to kill and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in violation of 18 U.S.C. 871A. Count 2, he knowingly and willfully transmitted in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill President Trump in violation of 18 U.S.C. 875C. Mr. Comey will be given every form of due process all citizens are entitled to receive, to include a trial by a jury of his peers. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, it doesn't matter who you are. We take all threat cases seriously and prosecute anyone who violates federal law, regardless of title or status. Thank you.
Thank you. As you heard from the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney, former FBI Director James Comey, has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm or hurt or even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or civilians in our country, are met with the same measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey allegedly threatened the life of the President of the United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just take a couple of questions.
Mr. Attorney General, the Justice Department in this filing today also issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Comey. Is it your belief that he is a continued public threat? And is there a request also for detention that you anticipate will be made in this case?
So the Department of Justice does not issue arrest warrants, grand juries do. And so the grand jury returned an indictment and arrest warrant. I expect that there will be communication with Mr. Comey's counsel, and we'll go from there. This case will proceed like hundreds of others do every year. There will be some sort of arraignment set by the judge or assigned to the magistrate judge, and when that happens, you'll know about it.
But in this is being handled differently from the last time he was indicted. That's my reference. In this case, the department requested an arrest warrant, right?
Well, I don't think that it's public or clear what the department requested. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. Go ahead. Yes.
Sir, how will you prove intent when, as the director had acknowledged, Mr. Comey said he did not associate 86 with doing harm, and he took it down promptly, said it was political speech, not an intent to harm the president?
Well, it's not. This case was indicted today. This conduct occurred about a year ago, May 15th of last year. There's been a tremendous amount of investigation. And how do you prove intent in any case? You prove intent with witnesses, with documents, with the defendant himself to the extent it's appropriate. And that's how we'll improve intent in this case. And so I think that talking about what Mr. Comey will or will not do if there's a trial, when there's a trial, it's very premature for me to do that today.
General Blanch, I wanted to ask you a quick question about, there's a number of other different types of conduct Comey has been accused of over the past. One of them is abuse of FISA warrants. I wanted to ask if there's anything that we could talk about today in regards to that, but on a separate matter, if I may ask any more updates about the ballistics forensic analysis with the shooting that happened over the weekend.
So on the first question, no, there's nothing else to report about any investigations or anything involving Mr. Comey except the indictment that was returned today by the grand jury. I don't have anything further to talk about with the ballistics that are still being analyzed. And I said it yesterday, and every law enforcement member who is speaking on this issue is saying the same thing as they should, which is that this is an ongoing investigation with really, really smart experts trying to understand what happened in that shooting and where the bullets went and ended up and where the bullets came from. And once that is at a place where we can definitively say, to the extent we can definitively say, we will let you know.
Director Comey posted this almost a year ago. Why bring this case now? Did you always feel like this was a strong prosecution, or did something change recently?
This investigation just didn't come now. It's the result of a lot of work by law enforcement over the past year. We don't time when we bring cases around anything other than when the investigation is at a place where we should go to the grand jury, and that's exactly what we did in this case as well.
As a former FBI director, you may not agree with what he did. Should he be able to turn himself in as a former FBI director? He's not a flight risk.
I didn't say he can't turn himself in.
He's not under arrest right now, and he may be able to work
I don't
out
know
something.
whether he's under arrest right now. I'm here talking to you. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. I think that the way that this happens is different in every case. It's fact intensive. It depends on, you're right, who the defendant is. It depends on whether he has counsel. It depends on what the judge wants done. And so I don't know when the judge will schedule an initial arraignment, if that will be scheduled by the magistrate or the district court judge. I am sure, I don't know if you want to speak to that, or if it's just something that will come up in the next coming days. You'll know when it happens. As far as what Mr. Comey does between now and then, I'm going to leave that up to the line prosecutors in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the FBI agents, and the work that they're doing.
Why, Director Patel, maybe you said that it's a complicated thing. A lot of people might think it's an easy case. Why did it take so long? I know that you guys chose to go with this now, but to the layman just looking at this case, or layperson looking at the case, it was an Instagram post. He apologized. Why did it take so long?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details of the investigation itself, but a lot of these cases, you could look at when the threats were made and when charges are brought. They're not easy cases. And so we have to, there's a communication that's sent in allegedly in this case. And so that means that we have to look at devices. Mr. Comey is a lawyer. He has lawyers. So to the extent that we're looking at materials that are potentially privileged, we have to get a wall, set up a wall and let totally independent lawyers look at those. And so that doesn't happen overnight or quickly. And the statute of limitations of this is 5 years. We brought it in under 1 year. So that's really where we're at.
It's clear that you don't want to talk specifics today. But to the American public, can you at least give us a sense of whether you have hard evidence or evidence that shows that Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed? And then secondarily, for critics who say, where does free speech end and an actual threat of violence begin?
I don't know what critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, and it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. We cannot, you are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, Maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just take one more question.
Thank you, sir. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. Should we expect more indictments of this sort? For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the background. Is that the kind of thing you would pursue? And then just really quickly, should Comey expect to face more charges for his role in the Russia collusion investigations?
I'm not going to comment on other investigations involving Mr. Comey. He was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. That was dismissed on procedural grounds because of the judge's finding regarding the U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to comment on that time. As far as other incidents of threats against the President of the United States, those will be investigated. Every case is different. The facts are different. Who makes the threat matters. What the threat says matters. You're right. The question about intent matters, and we have to prove that. That's something that's our job, and that's something that prosecutors will have to do in front of a jury at the right time. But you cannot compare. It's not fair to the American people. It's not fair to the defendant. And it's certainly not fair to the prosecutors to compare, well, if you did it here, why didn't you do it there? Every case is different, but there's one thing that will never be different, which is that you cannot threaten to kill the President of the United States, full stop. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Did President Trump's message to Pam Bondi saying that Comey was guilty as hell influence this prosecution?
All right, there's a couple of things I want to point out there. And I said it earlier because even Fox News had their information wrong when they said the DOJ indicted James Comey, which is not true. And I said it earlier, there were some people in the chat go, yeah, Barry, now you know. The Department of Justice did not indict James Comey. The Department of Justice doesn't indict anybody. By the fact if you hear the words indictment, it tells you it went to a grand jury. Now, depending on where the grand jury is, I'm not sure if you understand what a grand jury is, but it is comprised of 16 to as many as 23 different people are impaneled. It's not 4, it's not 6, it's 16 to 23 people. Regular people, average Joes. So when they brought this case to the grand jury saw enough evidence and they decided, yes, indict him. And then the grand jury said, go arrest him. I'd like this guy on Fox. Let's see what he's got to say.
1969, where the Supreme Court rejected claims that threats to the president's life are somehow protected by free speech. The Supreme Court, in fact, said this statute, making threats criminal, is constitutional on its face because the government has an overwhelming, that's strong language for the court, overwhelming interest in protecting the life of the chief executive and to prevent threats from interfering with the way he does his job. The only kinds of exceptions that might exist to this are when the threats come about as heated political commentary and is not a real threat, or it's humor like a comedian might use. But the grand jury could look at this. They saw the Instagram post. The grand jury saw the information, and they concluded that there was enough to indict Mr. Comey for this kind of crime.
Now, what's very interesting, if you want to go rewind it and listen to what Todd Blanche said, I actually wrote it down when he said it. He mentioned the word witness, which maybe somebody blabbed. Maybe somebody actually is now working with the Department of Justice to save their own ass. Because if there was a witness, somebody he was close to, somebody he said something to, and they got this person to come in. Then he mentioned the phone. And so you have to wonder, did they pull records of his phone? Do you see text messages going back between other people? This could be, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm definitely not in the FBI or anything. But the fact of the matter is, James Comey was indicted by a grand jury in North Carolina, 16 to 23 people. The grand jury saw enough information to not only do an indictment, but to order an arrest. Now, people have said many times that you can indict a ham sandwich, which I don't know, maybe you can. And there's no defense at a grand jury. The defense comes in after the charge is made. And I'm sure James Comey will put out a video in another hour saying, I'm innocent, I didn't do anything. And I'm sure the liberal media will be saying, free speech. And that's why I wanted to get that guy, because he was talking about it, is that too many people have no freaking idea what they're talking about when they refer to free speech. Not understanding what you can or can't say, where you can and where you can't say something, is going to get people in trouble. They think you can say whatever you want, and if you don't like it, it's my free speech, and it's not true. It's not true on YouTube. It's not true on X. It's not true on Facebook. It's not true in your house. I don't know how people got to the point where they think free speech means I can say whatever I want. You can't stop me. It's free speech. Bullcrap. And what's he saying now? Hold on.
Doesn't mean what's his subjective intent. It means what do you and me, Will, as reasonable observers looking at what Comey posted, or what would a reasonable juror think his message meant? It doesn't mean that Comey, for example, ever intended to try to kill the president. It doesn't mean that Comey expected any third party to kill the president. All that the government has to prove here under Supreme Court cases is not just Brandenburg, as you cited. That's a very important case. The Watts case is a very important case. The court has just said, and the lower courts have said, he just had to intend to make the threat, or as you said, aim to threaten the life of the president,
right,
even if he himself didn't have the intention to carry it out.
And you say in the mind of a reasonable person. Not necessarily do we have to climb inside the mind of James Comey, but how a reasonable person would read that. And David, I'll go to you last. Like, what kind of evidence can you marshal?
Well, Will, I agree that you're over the target when you say this is about incitement. I don't think anybody believes that Comey was telling the world that he was going to go kill President Trump. But it's like the Jimmy Kimmel, the drumbeat of all these folks lighting fires everywhere. And then when the house burns down, everyone says, oh, my gosh, how did that happen? This is about.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see some of the newscasts. So it looks like there was 60% of people who said that they wanted to see the dinner tonight. Let me check and see what time that is, because depending on what time it is, and we're getting off here now, hopefully I won't have to talk too much and I'll be able to do it. Let me check the dinner time so I can see if we have time to turn it around here. All right, so the dinner tonight is, hold on, I'm looking. The dinner tonight is at 8:05. They start doing the receiving line and the handshakes and, all the bowing and curtsying. They're going to start coming in at 7. And then at 8 o'clock, President Trump and Melania will participate in a dinner with the king and Her Majesty Queen Camilla. So I've got time to turn something around. I've got my cough drops handy just so I can get through it. So we'll look at doing something. SV, you got anything?
No, I was just telling the chat. I said, we all see how these passive aggressive threats have emboldened others to do something. I mean, actions have consequences. I mean, libs have to understand that they will have consequences. And I think some are starting to see it. Others are, as you see, Jeffries, he just keeps saying we're out of warfare all the time, every day, every place. They're going to die on that hill. Right.
And I don't know how to get it through people's heads, because they have been browbeat into thinking that, free speech, free speech, free speech. And it's not what you think it is. Maybe I should see if Ashley can get a First Amendment attorney on. But free speech is basically about excuse me, about the government infringing upon free speech. So people got it wrong.
Well, you tried to explain it several times in the chat for the trolls and people that seem to have, a misunderstanding about free speech. And I just had one today earlier. He kept coming in. He had the same thing. He didn't like what I had to say and he kicked me out. Some people you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink, Simple
I don't
as
understand why. It's not a hard concept.
It isn't.
I've said it many times. Like, you can't walk into somebody else's house, sit in your living room, and say, "Hey, your wife's fat." Good luck with that. or if you're at a dinner party, you're like, "Oh, this food sucks." You're gonna get ushered out.
Get out of here.
I don't think enough people have understood the ramifications of what they think is free speech.
That's true.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
All right,
let's
so I'll
start-
see you later tonight. Then we got a
Yeah,
show.
I'm trying. Maybe I'll put some sort of thing on to get through it. And it's funny, once your vocal cords start tweaking, it just keeps.
Oh, I know.
It's hard for them to
Yeah.
do it.
You have any cough drops or any of those like
Yeah, I got them right here.
I usually use the Ricolas.
Yeah, I had this problem when I cut my first album, and then.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Oh my goodness! All right, man. I'll see you hopefully this evening,
right.
and if I can't do a lot of talking, I'll just keep putting you up there. You can
All right.
handle it.
I got your back, bro. All right, see you all
man.
later, fanfare.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's look at super chats and get going here. Lele, thanks for keeping it real and not changing your stance on what is right. I appreciate your show. Thanks, Barry, Robin, Ashley, the mods, and everyone in chat. Yeah, I'm not going to change. You know why? Because that's me. So that's the thing. What you just said. The reason why some people are waiting for you to flip or something is like, it's me. You're seeing me. This is who I am. And if it doesn't work anymore, it doesn't matter because we've got our real estate stuff and everything else. So I'm not here to get clicks. Chiosop, I think Pam Bondi has set up a lot of these cases. You heard him say it. He basically paid homage to Pam Bondi. He's like, we've been working on this for over a year. Oh, really? Have you? You weren't here. You were the deputy. Oh, that's right. So Pam Bondi. Yes. Okay. They're set up to avoid any attack on herself and her family. Yeah, I believe that. Both. Even great baseball teams and pitchers have starting pitchers like Pam Bondi and relief pitchers, Todd Blanche and more. Great analogy. Great analogy. You're absolutely right with that. G. Fisher, Trump, scorched earth has arrived. See, this is what I think we were waiting for. And as Todd Blanche said, we've been working on Justice Comey case since May of 2025. Since May of 2025, they've been trying to get Comey re-indicted. A year for one guy. That should tell a lot of people, the panicans, oh, nothing's happening. No, what you mean to say is you don't know. Nobody's telling you. You're not in the loop. Oh, Kash Patel's not doing anything. Obviously, he has been. I don't know if you guys realized President Trump, when he was in the White House, the press room, right after the assassination attempt, somebody said it to me, and I had seen it that night as well. Sometimes President Trump talks, and you got to wonder how much of it is he supposed to say and not say. But you can go back to the tape, and he's talking, and Kash Patel is on his left. And somebody asked him a question, and he goes, we had all kinds of people in the room, even people you don't know are there. And you realize they had people embedded. Now I'm going to take this a step further. Imagine they had people embedded at some of the dining tables who were there in a public setting and listening to conversations, taking information. Maybe there's a microphone in the roses. You have no expectation of privacy in a public venue. How many of you remember I showed you Congressman Andy Ogles, and he said when he got under the table, one of the reporters said, I hope they kill that MFer. Well, I'm sure they all know who that person is right now. I hope they kill the MFer, talking about Trump. That's not too far behind what Comey did. How many of them were talking openly when they were looking up on the stage at Trump and talking all kinds of crap? I don't know, but what a perfect place to get some intel is just to hear the conversation. You guys have all been to dinner. You know what you say when there's, you know what Trump about, and they're saying stuff. And and during it, when he said that to the reporter, Kash Patel went like, why'd you tell them that? Why'd you let them know that there were people embedded? Why would you embed people at an event with the reporters? I'm just asking questions. I'm going to do the whole Candace Owens thing here. But yeah, great thing. Scorched earth. Chiosop, UAE is leaving OPEC and joining with USA. That's huge. Jeanette, I disliked Obama and old Joe, but would never think or act on harming them. Nope. And respect the office, even though I couldn't stand them. They divided the American people in so many ways. Yeah. I've said it on the show many times. I said I couldn't stand Bill Clinton, but at the same time, prosperity was happening. It's like, okay, well, he does this crazy stuff, but at least we're all doing well. Eaters of dead. Is this how powerful remain in power? That this talk should be made as a teacher to tell you how the powerful manipulate the people to stay in power. So glad I don't believe in this crap. Not sure which one you were talking about, but thank you. Cheers up again. Were the Democrats clapping for kings? Yes, to answer your question, they were definitely clapping for a king. Ed, well, this just shows how close we are to the Pew Civil War. Again. Cheers up again. Those who say share everything don't have anything. True that, true that. Buddy Sanders visited UK and Germany for vacation in 2022. Very dangerous due to the migrants never going back. My grandkids were terrified. I can't even imagine. I always wanted to. We went to Rome, and our next trip we were going to go to London, and we're like, nope, can't do it. Not going over there anymore. And Robin wanted to go to Spain. Nope, can't do that anymore. John Billy, don't piss on our legs and say it's raining. That's pretty much what he tried to do. Making Blankenship, you know how gas station sushi, even though it's the same as Chinese restaurant sushi, doesn't taste the same? That's how I feel about your channel and other podcasters, just not the same. I hope that was a good not the same. But thank you. I get what you're saying. I understand exactly. Thank you very much. Tim, the Democrats won't stand for Trump or Americans, but will stand and cheer for a king. Kind of ironic, don't you think? Nope, not at all. That's what I let in this morning, or whenever we started this thing. I said they view Trump as the enemy. The king was talking the message they want. They want more money to Ukraine. They want globalism. They don't want Trump. Trump is the enemy. So you picked up on that for sure, but yeah, that's it. They won't stand for America, but they will stand for the rest of the world. Here, listen to this real quick.
Administration to the rise of Nazis.
What I was talking about was the fact that a constitutional republic was torn apart in 53 days in Germany in the 1930s, and that we need to watch out for that in this country. Over the last year, much of what I said has been proven to be true.
Man, these people, they're nuts. Absolute nuts. Crazy, crazy, crazy. G. Fisher, president is a 4-year job. Yes, they're effing nuts. And Tania Bear, I hope future jailbird Comey likes. I mean, what's the likelihood of him getting convicted in North Carolina? I don't know. Depends on the jury pool and everything, but we shall see. All right, so I'm going to get out of here, grab some super tea, and then we'll hopefully see you guys tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't believe this is another 3-hour show. Wow. Thanks, guys.
you.